Welcome to Squidshot Photo Editing. Cropping is the most important part of editing photos. Obviously, we try to take perfect shots when we're out in the world, and we would love it if we had attained perfect framing when taking those shots. But reality being the bitch it is, isn't going to allow things to be that easy. Let's look at some images together to see if we can turn some regular pictures into something more. We're using Corel Paint Shop Pro 2023 Ultimate Edition. The layout and the tools are exactly the same as the 2018 edition, so don't worry about that. Links to Corel products are in the description below. All right, I've pulled up 4 different pictures for us to work with today. We're gonna start with this one here because it's the weirdest dimensioned picture we're working with. Most of the time, people think about cropping and they'll go immediately to the cropping tool over here and start cropping the original image. I recommend not doing this. Let's go ahead and go back to the pick tool, and instead of cropping the original image, we're going to duplicate it instead. Then we're going to come up here to the project and open a brand new project. This image happens to be a smaller image, so instead of a 4K, we're going to use a 1080p box. And I'm going to pick a landscape as opposed to portrait. Here's our 1080p window. And we're scooting back just a little bit. And then we're going to go over to our image that we were working with. And here's the copy. Over here in the layers section, we're going to go ahead and grab it and drag it up to this platform that we have set up. And it's going to put it in here almost perfectly cropped side to side to include all the information that we could look at. We're going to go ahead and look at the original image, and I'll show you why I'm picking a landscape over a portrait. Now, if we look at this image, you can see that there's a lot of nothing up here. And what's the reason of including their laps? Really, there's no reason. So truly the only part that I'm interested in here is kind of this area right in here where I'm making a square or a circle. That's it. It's more of a landscape layout as opposed to wanting all of this up and down. That's why I'm choosing it. And the reason we use this area here that has the dimensioned laid out and the picture is movable behind that area is because we get to adjust and adjust and adjust to our heart's content without having to commit to a crop, which is why I recommend not using the cropping tool, but utilizing a window that's set up at the ratio and the size that you're looking for, and then make the picture be cropped within that window. We can start to move this around and look at the other elements that I pay attention to. But you can see that now we've got the subjects in the screen and we are immediately looking at them for the most part. Now we're going to arrange them in a better way. When cropping photos, I usually use the rule of thirds as well as some of the centered subject concepts that I know to tell a better story with the elements that are in the picture. The elements that I look to highlight with cropping and composition are subject, framing, triangles, leading lines, and depth. Subject is the 3 of them. We've discussed that. But I do feel like the blade or the engine back here is fighting for being one of the subjects as opposed to part of the scenery. I would cut it off. It's obvious we are in a boat. And now we're definitely looking at the 3 of them. That's what we're after. Your eye to be drawn to them, not distracted by anything else. Now, if we're going to look at framing, I say that these colors around the subject, which is these 3, are enough framing. This color pattern that's happening around them frames them perfectly. It's fine. And that's being framed by the outer atmosphere. Now, we're talking about triangles. Obviously, the picture makes triangles all over the place, which it passes muster there. The implied triangle line that goes out this way, going out to the corner, makes triangles, same thing on this side. And mainly, the subject makes a triangle between these 3 points, between her eyes, the flower and her eyes and back again, which leaves us with leading lines. It's not just a blanketed distance. We have these bars that get smaller and the boat goes backwards in the distance. It also accentuates the subject in the center by it being in the center of those leading lines. The depth is definitely there. Sometimes the topics you won't even actually get all the topics in one picture. That's fine, it doesn't mean the picture is not correct. All we have to do now is place our subject triangle. Why don't we pretend like we can only see the triangle, and then decide where on a piece of paper this size would the triangle look more artful as opposed to being weirdly centered or weirdly anything. The issue we're having immediately is between this person's eyes is the center line of the picture, which you really never want to have that happen. I say put the center line between the flower's center line and her center line, which would be around here, where her chin is. So let's move the whole picture up to where that would be. And now we've got more of what I'm looking for. I don't think we need to see as much of their laps as much as we do, and a little bit more up here would be better. So let's scoot it down just one drop. Yeah, see, now that we get this implication of that green up there, now we've got our framing again. Whereas we kind of lost it with the top of their heads and it going into the yellow. Let's give it one more little push down. Oh, gotta go sideways. See, that feels way better. If you were gonna draw a triangle on the piece of paper, it would feel more artfully and correctly placed. I like it. We can check our work pretty quickly and easily by looking at both images fresh to a degree, like kind of wipe your mind of any of the subject matter or any of the things that we've done, and click to the first picture and see what are you drawn to, what are you looking at, and then click to the second picture and say, oh wow, I'm drawn to this, I'm drawn to that. Let's do it real fast. But before we do, let's click the hand icon so that way these lines and stuff go away and we're not distracted by them. All right, here we go. Honestly, you're distracted more. My eye goes right to here, to where I would look for the subject of a picture to be on this upper third line. So I'm looking at an engine, not the two girls in the flower. All right, so I immediately feel like as far as what we're looking for and looking at and being drawn to, I think we've probably done a good job. Let's see. Bam, it's the flower and the two of them. I'm happy with that kind of cropping, that kind of framing. I would export this and then start editing it, as in colors and things like that. But we're gonna move on to doing the other couple of pictures really quick, just to reinforce this kind of concept of just a little bit or a lot. Doesn't matter. Go in there and find the piece of art that is inside of the picture you're looking at. Because often a boring picture or just a whatever picture can turn into something really beautiful by cropping it just so. All right, let's grab our next picture, which is this fallen tree. And we're going to open up another 1080p project window so that way it'll fit this picture. Once again, this picture is a bit smaller of a resolution. It's fine. Pull up the 1080p and we're gonna go over and take our copy, which I've already made, and drop it onto the project, just like last time. And we're gonna zoom back just a little bit. There we go. And grab our picker tool so that way we can see the edges of the actual picture shown with the dotted line. Honestly, it cropped immediately to almost a perfect picture. I mean, that's it. That's it right there. Line of the water is up here on the third line. Perfect. And the subject down here is lying across the third line. Move to the side and you see we've got this piece of something in the water, which isn't pretty. It's distracting. And on the other side, it's just more grass and things of this nature. Okay, the next picture we're going to be working with is Yvonne doing some artwork out there in the world. And yeah, this could use a nice crop to actually turn it into something, because at the moment it's just a random picture of somebody doing artwork in the world. And if we look down here in the corner, you can see that this is a larger picture, it's a larger image. So I can actually use a 4K template as opposed to a 1080p template. So we'll click our 4K, hit OK, scoot out just a little bit, there we go. And we're going to grab the copy and drop it on the project. Always make sure that this is on scale if you want it to keep its scale when you change its size. And grab the corner, we'll make it a little bigger. It's already feeling better. And we can start thinking about where do we want to place her. Let's make it even larger. Let's try down in this corner. Okay. So I tried to pull her down to the lower third. It's okay, I don't like it as much. Let's try the upper third. Then we lose all these people, which are kind of part of the scene, and there's nothing happening on this side. That's pretty boring over there. So let's pull it all the way to the corner and see what we're working with her in the center. Let's even try to make it bigger. I know I'm ridiculous about it. So what I'm doing now is I'm putting the little square that she's making with her fingers like that, I'm putting it on the upper third line. And yeah, the people in the background are obviously giving us some perspective here, and which provides some depth. We have these little tiny buildings in the background, and then mediums in the midground. There's enough depth happening here. I kind of like that. That's wonderful. Let's move on. We're just trying to get simple, quick cropping and composition going. Okay, last one. Let's see what we are working with. So let's go ahead and grab another 4K template to work with. It's already set up for the 4K, so let's hit OK. And grab the copy, drag it and drop it onto the project. There it goes, it thought about it. And once again, immediately, I feel like, yeah, it's a better picture right away, right after you throw it onto the crop. Should we even move it? We'll move it to just see what's happening, but I think I'll undo all of our moves because that looks great. And we can move it up, and now let's put her on that third area up here. We were a little closer to the center. Let's put this right there. See, I drew a line on that third line to figure out a little better of where she should be. Do we like that? My problem is I'm being bothered by the bottom of the blanket going across the center line. So let's move it down a little bit so that way the center line cuts in the middle of her, possibly. I mean, then we've got the terminus of this hill being on the center line. Do we like that? For some reason I'm saying, yeah. In this case, when I'm really, really torn and I want to make multiple renditions, I say go ahead and do it. Boom. Grab another copy and drop it on our new project. So this is our rendition 1, which is pretty much untouched. I moved it just a drop. There we go. And we'll look at rendition 2 in a second. Now, we're gonna A/B them. Yeah. Okay, I feel like all of this is wasted. Comparatively speaking, when I look at them A and B, this feels wasted. This feels more interesting to have included. So that answers that question. We'll get rid of the second one and say no. Now, we've got our last composition set up. And like I say, it can be quick and easy. Sometimes it can be a little more laborious. But all in all, we can see immediately. Once again, let's go back to the original of this and double check our work. Yeah, that's way too much happening. And too little. It's too big while being too little action or elements happening. But we go back and boom, we're focused. It's really a picture of her. So subject, framing, triangles, leading lines. We've got all of that. And depth, obviously. I mean, we've got something like literally stuck in the lens of the camera. It's literally like right here. We've got this really close piece of dirt, the grass before the subject, and the tree and garden, and then the forest way behind that. I mean, honestly, that's as good as it gets. It's fine. Hopefully all of this helps you see your pictures in a new and different way, and to help you get out there and unniche yourself and do more. Give it a shot, a squid shot.